I never thought a stupid dare at a lake house would change everything. But there I was, standing on the dock at 2 in the morning, shivering in my swim trunks, while Marcus grinned at me like he'd just discovered fire. We'd been friends since college, part of this tight group that rented the same lake house every summer for the past 4 years. Marcus was the kind of guy everyone gravitated toward, confident without being arrogant, funny without trying too hard, with these green eyes that caught the light in a way that made you forget what you were saying mid-sentence. I'd spent 3 years carefully not thinking about those eyes, or about the way my stomach flipped when he laughed at my jokes, or about how I always seemed to position myself next to him in group photos. The dare started innocently enough. We'd been drinking on the deck, the rest of our friends had gone to bed, and Marcus and I were doing that thing we always did, staying up later than everyone else, talking about nothing and everything. He'd been telling me about his breakup with Jennifer, his girlfriend of 2 years, and I'd been making the appropriate sympathetic noises, while secretly, shamefully, feeling something that wasn't quite sympathy at all. "You know what your problem is, Kai?" Marcus said, his words slightly slurred. "You never take risks. You're always so careful, so measured. When's the last time you did something spontaneous?" I laughed, defensive. "I do spontaneous things." "Name one." I couldn't, or rather I could, but they all sounded pathetic when I tried to articulate them. Ordering a different coffee drink, taking a new route to work, wearing a shirt I wasn't sure about. Marcus stood up, swaying slightly, and pointed at the dock that extended into the dark water. "See that floating platform out there, the one with the diving board?" I could barely see it, just a darker shadow against the black water, maybe 50 yards out. "Yeah? I dare you to swim out to it." "Now?" "It's the middle of the night." "Exactly. Spontaneous." He was already pulling off his shirt, and I tried not to stare at the way the moonlight hit his shoulders. "Come on, unless you're scared." I should have said no. I should have laughed it off, gone to bed, maintained the careful equilibrium I'd spent years constructing. Instead, I found myself standing up, my heart pounding in a way that had nothing to do with the cold night air. "Fine, but if I die, I'm haunting you." Marcus's grin widened. "Deal, but let's make it interesting. Race you. Loser has to jump off the diving board when we get there." We stood at the edge of the dock, and I became acutely aware of how close we were standing, how I could feel the heat radiating off his skin despite the cool breeze. He counted down from 3, and then we were diving into the water, and the shock of cold drove every complicated thought from my mind. For the first 20 yards, I actually thought I might win. I'd been on the swim team in high school, and the muscle memory was still there. I could hear Marcus beside me, his strokes powerful but less refined than mine. But then something strange happened. He started to fall behind, not dramatically, but noticeably. I pushed harder, my competitive instinct kicking in, and when I reached the platform and hauled myself up, gasping, Marcus was still a few yards back. He climbed up beside me, breathing hard, water streaming down his face. "Damn, you're fast." "Swim team," I managed between breaths. 4 years. "That explains it." He was looking at me in a way I couldn't quite read, something different from his usual easy friendliness. "Guess I'm jumping off the diving board." He walked to the end of the platform where the diving board extended over the deeper water. The moon was bright enough that I could see him clearly, see the way his wet swim trunks clung to him, see the nervous energy in his stance. "You don't have to," I said. "It was just a stupid dare." "A dare's a dare." He bounced once, twice, then launched himself into a surprisingly graceful dive. When he surfaced, he was laughing, that full-body laugh that I'd always loved. "Your turn." "What?" "I won. That wasn't the deal." "New dare. I dare you to jump. No diving, just jump. Come on, Kai. Be spontaneous." There was something in his voice, some challenge or invitation I couldn't quite name. I walked to the diving board, my legs shaking, and it had nothing to do with the cold. Below me, Marcus treaded water, looking up, and I thought about all the things I'd never said, all the feelings I'd carefully locked away. I jumped. The water swallowed me, dark and cold, and for a moment I was completely disoriented. Then hands were on my arms, pulling me up, and I broke the surface to find Marcus right there, close enough that I could see the water droplets on his eyelashes. "You good?" he asked, and his hands were still on my arms. "Yeah," I said, but I wasn't. I wasn't good at all. I was drowning, and it had nothing to do with the water. We trod water there for a moment, neither of us moving away. The silence stretched, filled with all the things neither of us was saying. "We should head back," Marcus finally said, but he didn't move. "Yeah." "Kai, can I ask you something?" My heart stopped. "Sure." "Why'd you really break up with Ashley last year? You never really said." Ashley, my ex-girlfriend. The relationship I'd ended after 6 months because it felt like I was playing a role in a play I hadn't auditioned for. "It wasn't fair to her," I said carefully. "I wasn't giving her what she needed." "Which was?" "Someone who was all in, someone who wasn't." I trailed off, realizing I was about to say too much. "Wasn't what?" The water lapped between us. The moon made everything feel unreal, like we were in a dream where consequences didn't exist. "Someone who wasn't thinking about someone else," I said quietly. Marcus went very still. "Who were you thinking about?" I couldn't answer, couldn't say it out loud. Instead, I started swimming back toward the dock, my strokes choppy and panicked. I heard Marcus behind me, but he didn't try to catch up, didn't call out. When I reached the dock and pulled myself up, I was shaking, and it wasn't from the cold. I grabbed my towel and was heading toward the house when Marcus caught up with me. His hand on my shoulder stopped me. "Kai, wait." I couldn't look at him. "I'm tired. I should go to bed." "I let you win." That made me turn around. "What?" "The race. I let you win." He was standing there, water still dripping from his hair, looking more vulnerable than I'd ever seen him. "I'm actually a pretty good swimmer. Made varsity in high school. But I wanted to see what you'd do if you won. Wanted to see if you'd gloat or be modest or what." "Why?" "Because I've been trying to figure you out for 3 years, and I still can't." He took a step closer. "You're this puzzle I can't solve. You're smart and funny and kind, and you never let anyone really see you. You keep everything locked up so tight." "Marcus, I broke up with Jennifer because of you." The world tilted. "What?" "Not because of anything you did, because I realized I was with her for all the wrong reasons. Because she was easy and safe, and what everyone expected. And then I'd be with her, and I'd be thinking about whether you'd find something funny, or wondering what you thought about something, and I realized that wasn't fair to her." He laughed, but it sounded painful. "Turns out we had the same problem." I couldn't breathe, couldn't think. You're not saying..." "I'm saying I've been in love with my best friend for 2 years, and I've been too scared to do anything about it because I didn't want to lose the friendship. I'm saying that when you said you were thinking about someone else, my heart stopped because I thought maybe, possibly, you might have been talking about me." He ran his hand through his wet hair, looking nervous in a way I'd never seen him look. "I'm saying I'm done being careful. So if I'm completely misreading this, tell me now, and we can forget this conversation ever happened." "You didn't misread it," I whispered. Marcus's expression transformed, hope and fear and joy all mixed together. "Yeah?" "Yeah." I took a step toward him, then another, until we were close enough that I could feel his breath. "I've been thinking about you for so long. I thought I was going crazy." "You're not crazy." His hand came up to my face, his thumb brushing my cheekbone. "Can I kiss you?" I nodded, not trusting my voice, and then his lips were on mine, and nothing had ever felt more right. The kiss was gentle at first, tentative, like we were both afraid the other might disappear. Then it deepened, and I felt 3 years of longing pour into it, all the careful distance I'd maintained collapsing in an instant. When we finally broke apart, we were both breathing hard again, but for entirely different reasons than before. "Wow," Marcus said, his forehead resting against mine. "Yeah." "So, what now?" I laughed, the sound bubbling up from somewhere deep in my chest. "I have no idea. I've never done this before. Been with a guy, I mean. I've thought about it, but me neither. First time for both of us." He pulled back to look at me, his eyes searching my face. "We can figure it out together, if you want to." "I want to." The certainty in my voice surprised me. I really want to. We stood there on the dock, dripping and shivering, grinning at each other like idiots. Then Marcus grabbed both our towels and wrapped them around us, pulling me close against his chest. "We should probably go inside before we freeze to death," he said. "Probably." Neither of us moved. "Everyone's going to know," I said. "When we tell them, I mean, if we tell them." "Does that scare you?" I thought about it. About our friends, about my family, about coworkers and strangers, and all the people who might have opinions about who I loved. A little, but not as much as the thought of going back to pretending scared me. Marcus kissed the top of my head. "We don't have to tell anyone yet. We can take our time, figure out what this is first." "What do you think it is?" "I think," he said slowly, "it's the best thing that's ever happened to me." We eventually made our way back to the house, sneaking through the sliding glass door like teenagers afraid of getting caught. The house was quiet, everyone asleep. We stood in the kitchen, still wrapped in towels, and I felt suddenly awkward, unsure of what came next. "My room or yours?" Marcus asked, then immediately added, "Just asleep. I mean, unless you want. I'm not assuming." "Your room," I interrupted, taking his hand. "And just sleeping is fine. Good, even. I just want to be near you." His room was the one at the end of the hall, the one with the big window overlooking the lake. We changed into dry clothes with our backs to each other, a moment of shyness after everything that had happened. Then we were in his bed, and he pulled me against him, my back to his chest, his arm around my waist. "Is this okay?" he murmured into my hair. "More than okay." I felt him relax behind me, his breathing gradually slowing. I lay there in the dark, listening to the gentle lap of water against the dock outside, feeling the solid warmth of Marcus's body against mine, and thought about how strange life was, how you could spend years building walls only to have them come down in a single night, how the thing you were most afraid of could turn out to be the thing you needed most. "Kai?" Marcus's voice was sleepy. "Yeah?" "Thank you for being brave enough to jump." I smiled into the darkness. "Thank you for daring me." The next morning, I woke up to sunlight streaming through the window and Marcus's face inches from mine. He was already awake, watching me with a soft expression that made my heart stutter. "Morning," he said. "Morning." I felt suddenly self-conscious. In the light of day, everything from last night seemed both more real and more impossible. Did that really happen? "If you're talking about you absolutely destroying me in that race, then yes," I laughed. "You let me win." "I did." He reached out and tucked a strand of my hair behind my ear. "Worth it, though." We heard footsteps in the hallway, voices, the sounds of the house waking up. Marcus's hand found mine under the covers, squeezed gently. "You ready for this?" he asked. I thought about our friends downstairs, about the questions and the conversations, and the inevitable shift in dynamics. I thought about my parents, about coming out, about all the challenges that lay ahead. Then I looked at Marcus, at the hope and fear and love in his eyes, and realized that none of it mattered as much as this, as him. "Yeah," I said, "I'm ready." We didn't tell everyone that morning, or that day. We spent the time stealing glances across the breakfast table, finding excuses to brush past each other, sharing secret smiles that probably weren't as secret as we thought. That evening, as we all sat around the fire pit watching the sunset, Marcus's hand found mine in the space between our chairs, and I didn't pull away. Sarah noticed first. She always did. She was the observant one in our group, the one who remembered everyone's coffee orders and birthdays, and could read a room better than anyone I knew. "So," she said casually, "are you two going to tell us, or are we supposed to just pretend we haven't noticed?" Everyone's attention swiveled to us. Marcus and I looked at each other, and I saw my own nervous excitement reflected in his face. "We're together," Marcus said simply, his hand tightening around mine. "As of last night." There was a beat of silence. Then Sarah grinned. "Finally, I've been waiting for this for like 2 years. "Wait, you knew?" I asked. "Everyone knew," Jake chimed in. "Well, except apparently you two." "The way you look at each other," Emma added. "It was pretty obvious." I felt my face heat up, but Marcus just laughed. that full-body laugh I loved, and pulled me closer. Guess we weren't as subtle as we thought. The conversation moved on, easy and natural, our friends asking questions and making jokes, and being genuinely happy for us. And I realized that the fear I'd carried for so long, the worry about being rejected or judged, had been so much bigger in my head than in reality. Later, after everyone had gone to bed again, Marcus and I walked down to the dock. We sat at the edge, our feet dangling in the water, his arm around my shoulders. "You know what's funny?" I said. "I spent so long being afraid of taking risks, of being spontaneous, of letting people see the real me. And it turns out the scariest thing I've ever done was also the best thing I've ever done." "Jumping off that diving board?" "No, admitting I was in love with you." Marcus turned to look at me, his eyes reflecting the moonlight. "For the record, that race, I would have let you win every time, every single time, just to see you smile like you did when you reached the platform. That's the cheesiest thing anyone's ever said to me." "Yeah?" "Yeah, say it again." He laughed and kissed me, and I thought about how sometimes the best love stories aren't the ones where everything is easy. They're the ones where you have to be brave enough to jump, to swim through dark water, to risk everything for the chance at something real. They're the ones where your best friend dares you to take a chance, and you're finally ready to say yes. We sat there until the sun started to rise, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold, and I knew that whatever came next, whatever challenges or joys or ordinary moments, we'd face them together. And that was more than enough. That was everything.